Hey everyone, it's Grandmaster Ben Finegold here with a new video series. We're going to intersperse this new video series and the current events series. I didn't think there were some great current events to do right now, so I figure it's a good time to start the other series because we can always do that one. And the name of the series is Forgotten Players of the Past. And I was trying to figure out which player to do, but then I forgot. No, that didn't happen. Although it sort of happened. Okay, so the forgotten player of the past is Jackson Showalter. He was one of the top 5 players in the U.S. for probably about 15, 20 years. You know, along with the more famous American players like Marshall and Pillsbury. And in 1897, Showalter and Pillsbury played a match for the U.S. Championship, which was the style at the time. They didn't really have a tournament every year like they do now. They just found, whoever the current champion was, and then sometimes they would play somebody for their title. That's why Marshall was the champion so long. I don't think he played too many people. But anyway, Showalter and Pillsbury played in 1897, and it was a very close match. And in fact, there was a point in the match where if Showalter had won a game, he would have won the match. But he ended up losing, and they kept playing because they were tied. And eventually, with the score 9.5 to 9.5, Pillsbury won the next 2 games, and he became the champion 11.5, 9.5. Okay, so let's look at the game one of the games that Showalter won. It was a Ruy Lopez Berlin, except it wasn't like the Berlin they played today. This was the Berlin of 1897, which is a bit more exciting. Okay, now in this position, Showalter played d4, which is the main move, knight d6. And players today always play bishop takes c6 and take on e5, and they go into this ending. Okay, so this, and this would be thousands of Grandmaster games over the last 20 years have started this way. Okay, and Showalter played a more interesting move than taking the knight, which I haven't seen before, which is just to retreat the bishop to a4. In fact, one of the other moves that white can play is to take on e5, giving up the bishop, and then a4 traps the knight. And unfortunately, some of the grandmasters today do this to play a quick draw, or a grandmaster draw. We've seen this several times. It goes like this, takes on passant, and then they repeat with this line. This has actually happened several times. Okay, and it's a draw. All right, but again, this is 1897. We're not doing any of that. Okay, Showalter played bishop a4, and that's a move I haven't seen. White just sacrifices a pawn and says, I'll get an attack because the knight on d6 is misplaced, the king is on e8, and so forth. Okay, Pillsbury took on d4, c3, continuing with the pawn sacrifice. Now it's a 2-pawn sacrifice. So black is up 2 pawns, but white has nice development. White's castled. White's ready to play knight d5. So white has really good compensation. Bishop e7. Knight goes to d5. Black castled. Rook to e1. Okay, now white has a serious threat. You can see there's 2 pieces attacking the bishop. And even though the knight's defending the bishop, white's threatening to capture the knight. And then the bishop is insufficiently defended on e7. So Pillsbury has to do something about that. He played bishop f6. Seems pretty normal. Bishop to f4. And obviously, white has very good compensation for 2 pawns because the knight on d6 is sort of funny. And if you move the knight on d6, c7 is hanging. Or so I thought. Okay, and here Pillsbury plays the move knight e8. He defends the c7 pawn with his knight. And eventually he can play d6 and get his bishop out and be up 2 pawns. Okay, and if white doesn't do anything and just slowly develops and plays boring, black's going to be up 2 pawns. So he sacrifices the exchange. Not really much of a sacrifice because we're going to win the exchange back when we get the pawn on c7. The c7 pawn is now insufficiently protected, and that's why he sacrificed the exchange. He took with the queen, probably thought if he takes with the rook, bishop takes c7 would trap his queen. So you have to take with the queen. Now white has a decision to make. Should he win some material back here, or should he take this and mess up the black king, then black's up a lot of material. Okay, and Showalter decided to win some of his material back. And after queen e4, if he takes the rook on a8, black takes the bishop on f4, and the knight on a8 is trapped, and black is still ahead of pawn. And if black wins that knight on a8, then black's up a piece. So Showalter didn't take the rook. He played bishop to d6, which attacks the rook on f8 and the rook on a8. And I think Pillsbury wanted to get rid of that bishop. He didn't want white to play knight takes a8 and the bishop still stays on d6. So he played rook to b8 and bishop c2, attacking the queen. He takes his exchange back. And now we have a position where white's down a pawn because he won back his exchange by taking on f8. He won one of his two pawns back by taking on c7. So black is still up a pawn. Black has the two bishops, but black has a lot of issues. One issue is his king. That's not very safe. The bishop on c8 can't move. The rook on b8 looks sort of weird. So white still has a very nice position. Queen d6 check. Bishop e7. Rook to e1. A brilliant move from Showalter. And, I mean, it's not a terrible, difficult tactic to see. If bishop takes queen, rook e8 is mate. That's really using the knight on c7. Okay, rook e1, Morphy would be proud because white's using all of his pieces to attack. Okay, but black doesn't have to take the queen and hang mate. So he played the move g6. And now he is threatening to take the queen because black has an escape square on g7 for his king. Okay, queen to d2. Obviously, he wants the queen to go to h6 and continue the attack. The white knight can go to d5. There could be another exchange sacrifice. Black's position isn't very good. He is up a pawn, but his pieces are pretty bad. Queen h5, preventing queen h6 check. Knight to d5. Excellent move. Knight's great on d5. Bishop to d8. He doesn't want white to take the bishop. Knight takes, and then queen d6, attacking the rook and the knight. So he saves his bishop. His bishop is a very good defensive piece. Defends all the dark squares. Okay, great. Queen c3. Showalter's threatening. Queen h8 mate. We can't play king g8 to defend h8 because of rook e8 mate. So, I mean, you got to stop queen h8, and you can't play king g8. That calls for a move that we really don't want to play, f6. But white is going to play queen h8 mate, and king g8 also hangs mate, so I don't really see another move to stop mate. You could play knight e5, knight d4, queen e5. Those moves just, lose a queen and a knight. Okay, knight takes f6, threatening the queen. You can't take the knight because you would be mated immediately, and rook e8 mate. Okay, so you can't take the knight. The knight is attacking the queen, so he played bishop a5, attacking white's queen, and this move doesn't work for more than one reason, but Showalter finished the game up nicely. This is a very hard move to find because white's knight is attacking the queen on h5, so you sort of focus on that. Like, oh man, how could I win that queen? Do I have some kind of... So like, for example, queen a3 check, hoping to take the queen next move, while black could play bishop b4. Probably still winning for white, but not as winning. Instead, he played knight takes d7 check, moving the knight away from the queen, making it more difficult to see, and Pillsbury had enough. Okay, now Pillsbury realizes he's in a lot of trouble, and he's going to get checkmated, and he's going to lose everything. This position he resigned. If he plays the obvious bishop takes knight, I didn't look with an engine, but I'm pretty certain queen h8 check, only legal move, bishop b3 check, is pretty winning. Pretty winning. There might not be a forced mate, but there probably is. And obviously, black is going to have to give up a lot of material if he is going to stop mate. The best that I can find is bishop e6, bishop takes check, king e7. I mean, there's a lot of good moves here. Queen g7 is pretty simple. In this position, white's actually up a pawn. Okay, and white's checkmating black's king. Probably he can win the queen too. Okay. But anyway, after Knight takes D7 check. Pillsbury decided he had enough and he resigned. A great game by Showalter, and unfortunately for him, Frank Marshall and Harry Nelson Pillsbury are much more famous top American players than Jackson Showalter, but Showalter was a very good player for many years, and he beat a lot of really strong players. He just didn't get the accolades of Pillsbury and Marshall, even though he was right up there. And this was a really tough match. Could have gone either way. Pillsbury won the last 2 games. And Pillsbury was actually behind in the match for some of it. So, very tough match. 1897 U.S. Championship. Pillsbury won 11.5, 9.5. But Showalter proved he was one of the best players in the United States. This is Grandmaster Ben Finegold with our new series, Forgotten Players of the Past. Go Jackson Showalter. Make sure you watch our videos on YouTube, like and subscribe. I have a YouTube page also, and Karen and I both have Twitch pages you can follow as well. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.